The role as a defense against rejection. We don't begin life as performers. We begin as raw, unfiltered selves, crying when we're hurt, laughing when we're happy, reaching when we need warmth. But somewhere along the way, we learn that the truth of who we are isn't always safe. The world, in its impatience, its judgment, its conditional love, teaches us that some parts of ourselves are acceptable, and others are not. And so we adapt. At first, it's subtle. You quiet your voice when you realize people only listen when you're agreeable. You downplay your needs when asking leads to criticism. You smile when you're sad because sadness makes others uncomfortable. These aren't lies in the traditional sense. They're defenses, desperate attempts to stay connected, to avoid rejection, to be enough in the eyes of someone who matters. And over time, the defense becomes the default. The mask fuses to the face. The performance becomes the personality. We don't perform because we're inauthentic, we perform because authenticity once cost us something precious: belonging, safety, love. And so the mask becomes not just a tool, but a shield. One we hold so tightly, we forget there's a human hand underneath. One that once reached out, long ago, and was left hanging. Small orange diamond emotional numbness from living in a role. When you've spent years inhabiting a role, not just wearing a mask occasionally, but living in it, something quietly dies inside. Not loudly, not dramatically. But slowly. Softly. Your emotional world begins to fade, not because you no longer feel, but because your feelings have nowhere to go. The role doesn't allow them. If your character is the strong one, there's no room for grief. If you're the funny one, there's no space for sorrow. If you're the helper, your own pain is an inconvenience. So you repress. You suppress. You push everything down until you're left with something worse than sadness, emptiness. This is a kind of death people rarely talk about, not the loss of life, but the loss of aliveness. You go through the motions. You say you're fine. You show up, smile, complete tasks. But inside, there's silence. And not the peaceful kind. The numbness is unbearable, yet familiar, like white noise you've lived with for so long, you've forgotten what silence truly sounds like. It's not that you're emotionless. It's that your emotions have learned they're not welcome. So they stay hidden, buried beneath layers of performance, aching for a chance to breathe again. How roles kill intimacy. Real intimacy requires visibility, the ability to be seen in your fullness, your messiness, your truth. But when you live in a role, what others fall in love with isn't you, it's the character you portray. You might be surrounded by friends, in a long-term relationship, even admired, and still feel profoundly alone. Why? Because deep down, you know they don't really know you. How could they? You've never let them in. You've only shown the curated version, always kind, always composed, always okay. You became so good at hiding your pain, even you started to forget it was there. But intimacy, true intimacy, doesn't come from perfection. It comes from presence. From vulnerability. From saying, here I am. Not as I should be, but as I am. That kind of nakedness is terrifying. But it's also the birthplace of real connection. Until you risk being seen, you'll never know if love was for the mask, or for you. And that's the real tragedy of performing. It ensures applause, but it sacrifices authenticity. It gives you company, but robs you of closeness. It surrounds you with people, and leaves you starving for intimacy. The mask is a maze with no exit. There comes a point where the role you created to protect yourself becomes the very thing you need protection from. It no longer feels like a choice, but a trap. You've played the character for so long that you no longer know how to drop the script. You don't know what you like, what you feel, what you want, only what's expected. The mask becomes a maze. Every time you try to take a step toward yourself, you hit a wall of fear. Will they still love me if I stop being this version of me? What if I disappoint them? Who am I if I'm not this? These aren't casual questions, they're existential crises. Because the role has become your identity. And peeling it off doesn't just feel like change, it feels like death. The death of who you've been, the relationships built around that version, the comfort of familiarity. But if the mask is a maze, then the path out is not logic, it's courage. It's daring to sit with the uncertainty of your true self. It's choosing discomfort over dishonesty. It's believing, perhaps for the first time, that you, unmasked, unpolished, unperformed, are still worthy of being found. In life, we play many roles, we have a multitude of responsibilities, and for all of us there is some serious juggling taking place. For example, I am a mother, a wife, a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a friend, a teacher, a business partner, a coach, a writer, a coworker, and a leader. Phew. But you know what? We are not the roles we play. We are in fact, the light, that animates every soul in the dance that we call life. We can get so lost in the roles we play, and that just leads to stress and confusion. Yes, the closer we remain to who we really are, then the less confusing it becomes. So, what do I mean? Let's look at this from a practical point of view. Define when you are playing a role, for example, corporate career woman, mother, sympathetic friend, lover. Can you pinpoint what you witness in yourself? Do you, for example, when you are a leader, display more confidence than, for example, when you are a wife or a lover? We are conditioned, as much as we try not to be, to take on the attributes we believe these roles should have. But when you get really clear with yourself, and the difference in you might be really subtle in any given role, then you can understand how, and when you play these roles, you can start to merge them a little, so you can step from one role into another, one at a time. Grab a piece of paper and write down all the roles you have. Now, underneath write how you behave, and your needs in this particular role, and how often you find yourself in this role. Do you see differences? What are they? The most basic human need is the need to be understood. Bear with me, because this is where it gets interesting. We all need to be understood, and that means being heard and seen. Can you think of the last time you felt, like really felt confirmation of either of those? I thought so. You had to really think, right? Because quite often we are running around like mad human beings wanting everything finished yesterday that we don't give others our time to listen. And I mean with your eyes, ears and heart, to be present with them and let them know you are there. I'm sure you've heard the term holding space. Well, that's what it means to be really present with another person, so they can open up to you. Most of us are guilty of listening to respond, rather than listening to understand, and the difference is huge. If you try to practice this, you'll be surprised at how much you actually learn. Try it out just for one day. Make it your intention today that you are going to listen to everyone with every ounce of your being, you are going to be present for them, and you are not going to say a word, unless you ask an insightful question, to get a better understanding of what they are talking to you about. Wisdom grows from listening. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Appreciation what you have before it turns into what you had. Appreciation can make someone's day. It can even change their life. When you feel appreciated, doesn't that make you want to do more for them? You see, we're all busy playing roles most of the time, even with ourselves. We forget to appreciate the wonderful things in our own lives, let alone notice them in others. This is very human-like. We take for granted things we believe will always be there. And here's the bare, hurtful truth. When your absence doesn't have an impact, then your presence, in no matter how many roles you play, has no meaning. So, the aim is to seek acceptance. Just be you, find yourself under the roles and live in your truth. When you start to do that, you'll feel a greater appreciation, not just for yourself, but the things in your life, and the people around you. You'll stop the noise in your head that says, behave this way, or do that because it's what's expected of you, and you'll find more peace in your soul. Acceptance means you know there is something greater. If you can accept who you are and be that very person, without fear of rejection, then you'll no longer need to play roles. they'll have diminished meaning because you become more you most of the time because you'll begin to stand comfortably in your own skin. It takes courage to show up and become you. But working with this fierce mind and brave spirit of yours to keep learning and growing, but knowing in your hearts of hearts that you are enough. Then you will be enough. In some cases, when people search for themselves and peel back the roles, then they often change jobs, or move cities, live more purposely aligned to things they believe in, and less of what other people think they should do. So be prepared. Moving out of the roles can be life-changing, but it's always for the better, because you, my friend, have gifts and talents and traits that you need to share with the world. That's why you are here. Masking those with a role is not serving your true purpose. This is an anonymous quote that I came across, and it's so applicable here. At your absolute best, you still won't be good enough for the wrong person. At your worst, you'll still be worth it to the right person. Once you accept you, then others will do the same. People-pleasing hides the real you. Seeking approval from others is like saying, "Please tell me who I am." Seeking validation or approval will keep you trapped. You don't need anyone or anything to approve who you are or your worth. Understanding this little golden nugget will set you free from the roles you play. As humans, we are always seeking for approval. We did it as children, from our parents, teachers, other grown-ups, and our friends, and we soared high on their approval and validation. Ridding yourself of role-playing. The first step in the journey of standing in your truth is to take notice when you are seeking attention. What role are you playing, and in what environment? Awareness is key to knock this little one off your block. Once you connect with what you are seeking from others, then you simply need to give it to yourself. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but it works. Once you can identify what you seek, whether it's approval, love, or acceptance, you will change your external environment by tweaking your internal world. We've been told there is a correct path in life to take. We've been led to believe we should stay conformed to the norm and follow rules to suit the interests of our society. Follow the safe and secure path. Why shouldn't we? I mean, expressing ourselves requires us to expose to others and to face judgments for being different. At this point, you're going to meet people who are intimidated by you. You are different, and people don't know how to react or how to accept people who don't follow the crowd. They do not know how to behave with someone who expresses his uniqueness, so they will try to make you feel like you are weird or damaged. So who wants to be the odd guy that no one understands? It's so much more comfortable acting the same way that your friends, co-workers, parents fit into this matrix that they call society. Right. It is even more problematic when you are looking for a relationship. What kinds of people are you going to attract if you are acting a role? It is already challenging to find a soulmate. So how much more time will you need if you are not yourself? You cannot expect to connect with someone when you are playing a role and wearing a mask. Do not expect to attract people who have the same vision, the same life purpose, or the same level as you if you are not yourself. Preconceived images of each other cloak almost everyone we meet according to the role they play about us. We can spend a whole day with someone and never truly interact with each other due to the characters we act through. Have you ever spent a whole day with your friends, colleagues, family, and still feel lonely? If the answer is yes, I encourage you to start truly expressing yourself. You might find that it catches on to the people around you. By letting go of the arbitrary limits on yourself and interacting with everyone freely and happily, it can be a symbol to other people that they also don't need to act in a certain, limited way. It can be an incredibly powerful obstruction to our happiness and ability to accept the present moment and who we really are. The first step is to be aware that you are acting a role in various aspects of your life. This awareness will help you free yourself. Then learn to love yourself, express yourself, and save you precious time by being who you really are. I can guarantee you that it won't only change your life, but it will lead you to find your own worth, drive you towards your dreams. Spend time with people who are good for your mental health. Don't forget to acknowledge how great it is to be around someone who lights you up. Why are you making things so damn hard for yourself by surrounding people who are not matched with you? Wouldn't it be wonderful just to let go of all expectations and just be authentic?